bridal maquette. I want it to be Adobe Illustrator format. Save. I want it to preserve model scale. 1 millimeter equals 1 millimeter. RGB, that's important. Otherwise it'll only be openable in a Mac. And hit OK. That's done. I'm going to save the file now. I'll save it in the same place. Design, not drafting tutorials. Design tutorials. And put that right here. So it's going to be bridal maquette. But this time it will be 3DM 5. And I will rewind this. And that's done. Okay. Alright, I had to pause there for a minute. The house was getting very noisy. Hopefully we came back alright. Okay, so I'm going to close this out, and we're going to bring these curves into Painter, or any graphics program for that matter. And the way we're going to do that is open it up in Adobe Illustrator. This is available on all the computers on campus. While you're students, you can get an affordable copy as well, I believe. So I would look into that. Got to get rid of the commercial, though. There's always a commercial. Alright, open. Going to go into Documents, FIT, Design, Tutorials, Bridal Maquette, AI. Okay, there it is. There's my template for tracing. Going to group this, Control G, just like in Rhino. Move it into position. And I'm going to set this, because I'm going to draw on it, to 0.33 points. Make sure this is selected. If it's not selected and you type in 0.33, it won't change anything. It'll just mean the next thing you create in Illustrator is 0.33. You don't care about that because you're not going to create anything in Illustrator. So you make sure you select this and it will alter what is currently selected. 0.33 points. Enter. That reduced the thickness of the lines considerably. Before, after. Okay? Going to export the file now as a JPEG. Okay, you want to watch your export options. You want high resolution, 300 ppi. You don't want screen, you don't want medium, you want high. Okay? You want the quality all the way up, and you want RGB. Okay. And that is done. So now if we go into Painter, okay, first off you can go into anything that'll view it, a JPEG. So I could actually go straight here. And oh, it looks like I did not label it. Good to know. That's probably it right there. Oh, there it is. It's interesting. Saved it in its own weird little place. Okay. There you go. Those lines look awfully heavy to me. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to take a look. I think the problem is that Adobe Illustrator is still open. I'm going to save this to the same place, except for I'm going to take out the word converted, so it will replace the one that's currently there. Fine. Accept all the defaults. Close that. Okay, now let's go to Painter. Might as well go straight into Painter. Sorry for the delay. Painter, like everybody else, has has their sequence of things they want you to do. Oh, oops. Okay, I have a bit of a problem. Last time I ran Painter, I ran it on a different screen, and it is not going to let me access it. Hold on 1 minute. Sorry. Here we go. That's right. Okay, I'll turn off the other video, the other monitor now. Hopefully that didn't mess with our recording too much. Okay. I always open a new document to put my template in. So I'll do new. I'll make it 7.5 by 10 because I know it's a pretty big template I made. By 300 ppi. Going to go to open. Going to go to documents, FIT, design tutorials, bridal maquette, JPEG. Okay. I do not understand this. This came out with very, very, very heavy lines, and it shouldn't have. That is a problem in my little tutorial, because that should not have happened. So, take a minute. Go back into, okay. We've actually got to reset my tablet so it is only playing with the monitor I'm on. Oh, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. No, no, no. I hit the wrong thing and it won't let me out. Oh heavens, now I have a real mess on my hands. I can't even control this anymore. Okay. I have to just close that. Opening. I can't even use this down here anymore. My Wacom is dead. Okay, I'm going to have to pause while I solve this technical issue. Okay, so sorry about the interruption. I got my tablet to work again. Let's find out what happened to that Illustrator file, because this might happen to you at home and it shouldn't. Okay, in the bridal maquette, okay, doing it again just to make sure. 0.33, enter. I'm going to leave it selected. Export. JPEG. Bridal maquette, JPG. Export. RGB 10 300. I do not want it optimized. Okay, I want art optimized super sampling. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Now hopefully, I'm going to leave that open for a minute. Now, File, Open. Bridal maquette. That's much better. Okay. Going to drag a window around the middle. So the key is to leave the line selected when you export it. Copy it out of there. Paste it into my main page. and I have lines. Now, I like to scramble the pixels a little to make it softer. I do that by making sure the layer is selected, edit, transform, rotate 11 degrees, OK. Edit, transform, commit, transform. Nothing secret about the number except for it allows me to hit the same key twice. It's faster for me. Edit, transform again, rotate again, this time minus the same dimension I did before, so minus 11, the same value. And edit, commit, transform. And you'll see now when I zoom in that the lines have been softened a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit transparent, so it's not quite as black. Go ahead and drop it. Pick it back up so it's a floater again. And now, because I dropped it first, I can gel it if I want to. I'm not going to, but if I wanted to, I can gel it and it would make no difference, in case you want to use the layer that way. Now, if I want to draw on this, it's a very simple matter. Except for my Wacom tablet settings are wonky again. Pen mapping is in pen mode, and I don't want it full. I want it for monitor one. Okay, there we go. Brush stroke, something we'd actually draw with, like a 1718, 63%. Grain is fine. I'm going to set it to my usual drawing colors and zoom in. So now, if I want to draw on this, let's say I want the band to taper, okay? Put a new layer on top so I don't damage my drawing. See, I can draw, and it's not all that obvious if I do a 1/7, for example, brushstroke. What is painter and what is rhino, especially when I clean it up a little. I want it to taper down to the 2mm, so this will be the width on the inside. This will be the thickness of the band. So I can extrapolate. Show it a little bit thicker. Not too much. As always, I'm taking what I know for sure and then letting go of the rest. So for example, I know the ring is this thick, okay? So I know that actually about that distance is going to be accurate for wear. Okay, there's a 3/4 view, so it's not incredibly accurate, but it's accurate enough. Okay, this is going to have to blend into this at some point. I'll leave it a corner now, just to accentuate how awkward that looks. And this is going to need to blend into that somehow, and I'll leave that a corner, just to accentuate how awkward that looks. And the same thing is going to happen over here. This line now doesn't mean anything. This line is not part of my drawing either. I do want this to continue across the front at about that thickness. That doesn't mean much anymore to me. This doesn't mean much to me anymore. Okay, so there's that inside. That inside has to blend in with this inside here. I'll leave the corner to make it awkward. This thickness has to blend into this thickness. I'll leave it awkward. Intentionally. This doesn't mean anything to me anymore in here. Okay. Over here, it's going to be about the same because it's symmetrical. So this line no longer has any meaning. Same thing over here, though it's harder to see. Okay. Now the center line is still important to me, so I want to preserve that. These other lines aren't. I'll let them go. Okay. This line doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Okay. So, neither really does this. I like knowing where the halfway point is, so I'm going to leave that. Okay. So now I'm looking at what I've got, and I have a pretty crude thing, but you can see that it's starting to come together. Now I'll do a nice job of blending these together. Being aware that whatever ellipse I make in here, and it has to be a true ellipse when I'm done, will have to be reflected on the other side. So that taper actually gave us still an ellipse, but the ellipse is tilted a little bit because of the taper. That's fine. This is going to imply that it comes up into here somewhere, exactly where we don't care. But we know it's a little bit wider. We know it's about that much wider at the midpoint. And tapers down. We know that's our midline. That midline is important to us because it's got to make sense on the inside of the ring as well. Okay, this has to actually come up in here and relate to a thickness like this coming off of that shoulder. Something inside that would look something like this. That's important, because if we have that, then we know that this is too fat over here, because that symmetry from side to side has to be maintained. Pretty well, at least. Same thing here. This is going to taper up and around and come into here somewhere. So I'll encourage it to do that. Our center line stays where it is. And that's pretty good. Now all I have to do is clean up the heel here. Obviously, I would not design a ring this way. I would design it flat and figure out what I wanted before I started to come in here and just draw. But this is basically the process, whether you're using a pencil on top of this or you're using a stylus and a brush and a painter. This is basically the process. I've taken it from a thick blocky ring down to a reasonably accurate tapered band. I think I may have made this a little thin through here. But like I said, I'm not that concerned about precision at this point. As long as it's believable, as long as you look at it and you believe I can tell how this thickness should be. It should be corresponding to this thickness, which it does pretty well. Okay, so I've got that. Alright, now I want to draw my finger rest. Finger rest, I can picture it as being a circle that follows kind of the front of my stone. My prongs, I have my width for. So I can bring those down. I want the inside of the prongs to frame up around that center line pretty good. Pretty well. There's my gallery wire. Finger rest coming in here. It's going to just end into the front of this shank here. So I'll actually bring this. Now I can't make it a dead circle because it actually curves a little bit along the top of the finger, but it's so subtle that that's the kind of detail you don't really worry about. Know that it happens, but don't kill yourself trying to draw it, because you're just more likely to end up drawing it as a curve is believable to people as an arc like this. If you try and get too crazy with it, they won't believe it. Okay, here's the 1 millimeter thickness. I can check it. That's about right. It's a little thin. 9/10 actually. So there's my airline. My under bezel is going to be in here somewhere. It's going to come around and disappear under the stone. So all I'll really see is this much of it. Okay, so I've got that. Now if I want to bring my shank up onto the under bezel, I can do that now. I can do it on both sides. I can check and see how far off this is from the middle and try and repeat it over here. I can round that off a little bit back, and I can put the thickness of the material in an airline. I can change the center line to come up on there so I still have a center line in case I want one. Okay, it's not a beautiful drawing, alright, but it does show you what goes on. Okay, it shows you how to think your way through designing a ring using a 3/4 template underneath. Okay, your airline would be on here as well, so you would look over here and estimate so that you get something similar. You're obviously going to see less of it because it's on the far side of the setting. If this is a rounded shank, you won't have a corner here, and this won't be as thick. I can remove the center line now. Kind of find and lose that shoulder a little bit. Same thing here. Lose the corner. Kind of the dashed line effect. If it's rounded off, I'm going to lose a little bit of that thickness because it's rounded on that side, so I'm losing a little bit of it from view. Okay, and you can keep playing with it, working with it, but that's essentially it. Okay, that's it for the tutorial. Just to show you how to use some of these tools back and forth between the different software and to get a nice effect. Thanks for watching.